Hello and welcome to Treasure in Every Verse. I'm your host, author and Bible teacher, Kevin Madison. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, friends, we're back and we're going to jump right back into our study on the church at Smyrna. Hopefully, we can wrap this up today. And we're going to start right here. I'm going to read to you first the passage and then we'll get down into it. Romans. Revelation chapter 2, starting at verse 8. To the angel of the church in Smyrna, write, these things says the first and the last, who was dead and came to life. I know your works, tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not fear any of those things which you are about to suffer. Indeed, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison that you may be tested, and you will have tribulation 10 days. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He who overcomes shall not be hurt by the second death. All right. So, what are we going to focus on this morning? We're going to focus right here. We found out that the devil was throwing some of these folks in the prison, right? It started with the apostles in the early church, and it continued after that, folks. It actually got worse as Rome continued to try to stamp out the name of Christianity. So look, we're going to focus right here. Tribulation for 10 days. And I said last time that the 10 days was not days like you and I think in a calendar day. The 10 days were actually 10 emperors. So let's look at it. Let's go take a look at what was happening. And I'm going to point you out to some things. Um, so he says this, the 10 days mentioned by the Lord Jesus lasted from, and look at this, folks, it lasted from AD, 54 AD, all the way through 313 AD. Yes, that's your 10 days. You read and heard that correctly. So when we look at it, let's look at what was happening. All right. Come on. What was happening? So here you go. It started off with Caesar Nero, and boy, was this a wicked, wicked, perverted man. Go look up the history now. You don't want to read about this guy. He was a madman. I'll just give you a brief history. He would have fit right into today's culture, by the way. So this man Nero was perverted. He was a homosexual. He literally had his I guess you can call him his partner castrated, and he walked him around on a chain. Yes, you heard that correctly. And the man was just really, really disgusting. If you go read some of the history about this guy. So anyhow, he was there from 54 to 68 AD, known for blaming the Christians for the Great Fire of Rome and initiating the widespread persecution. Why did he do that? You go read the history on this guy. He actually started that fire. All right. He just needed an escape route because he was so perverted. The people rebelled against him. Even his armies were turning against him. So what did he do? He set the city on fire and blamed. He tried at least. He tried to blame the Christians for doing it, but they didn't do it, friends. However, because they didn't want to participate in any of the Roman events, because it was perverted, folks. Remember, back in Rome and these other nations before Rome, they worship idols. And the Christians said, no, I'm not going to participate in that. They went to the Olympics. They had the Olympic Games. More than just the Olympics, they had the Isthmus Games and all kinds of games, lots of games throughout the Roman Empire. And what was going on at these games? Well, people participated in these games naked. And the Christians said, no, man, I don't want to be around that mess. And they became like outcasts because They stopped participating in all these things. Well, Nero knew that. He knew that the people sort of didn't trust the Christians because all of a sudden they just stopped participating in everything. Every time somebody would announce that, hey, my life has been given to Christ, Christ have saved me, they withdrew from family, withdrew from events, and that sort of freaked people out. Got to remember, this never happened before. It was in Israel, and that was it. But once Christ gave it up to the Gentiles, there was some weird things to Gentiles because everybody went to the games. I'm gonna say everybody. Most of the people enjoyed the games. Most of the people enjoyed the circuits, and they all went to the temple and had the same kind of lifestyle. But once Christianity took over, folks, that all changed, and it scared some people, especially how fast it was starting to spread. So these people had to go underground because Nero started persecuting them. Remember, this wicked man was the same one that captured James and chopped off James' head. He was the same one in the book of Acts that captured both James and Peter. And the angel took Peter out of prison, and James ended up dying. You say, well, wait a minute, why? I don't know why. God decided to leave Peter alive and took James home. Why? I don't know. When I get to heaven, I'll ask James and the Lord, and maybe he'll tell me at that time. But right now, I don't know. So, and that's what was happening. So he started this fire, started blaming Christians, and folks, listen, that started really the serious persecution of Christians. It started with Nero. So this is what the Bible calls day one. And you can see that that day actually lasts 14 years when this man was in power. Now, there came another one after him. The persecution didn't start, but you know what happened? It sent the church, the believers, the true believers. Listen, folks, when I say church, I'm not talking about some religion. I'm not talking Baptist, evangelical, Catholic. I'm not talking about none of that mess. All right. I'm talking about the body of believers. There are some believers in all of those Christian denominations, and maybe in some of these false things. I don't know. I would have to believe that there are. But the majority of folks in all of that stuff are not saved. Just like the Israelites, folks. It was like that. It's been like that from day one. There's a lot of fake believers out there. All right, so I'm talking about born again believers. That's it when I say church. It's very restricted to that. Now, this is where they went underground, went into the catacombs and all that stuff because they were being persecuted. They couldn't go out in the public like they wanted to and preach the gospel. So I'll show you something. Watch. This is what started happening to them. So they would bring them into the arenas around the Roman Empire. They would bring them into the arenas and they would feed them to the lions. And you would see other types of persecution. They would bring them in and they would tie them to the stake, you know, and let others sit in the middle while they tie some to the stake and burn them alive, hoping to scare these enough to get them to deny Jesus Christ. Oh, and some did. Those were fake believers. But most did not. And you see that everywhere. And you had, you can just go online just like I did. And this is history, folks. Even Wikipedia, Wikipedia is Wikipedia. Even they have some of this stuff because they know it's true. It's history. You can't deny the fact that it actually happened. And the people went into hiding and with into the catacombs and all these different things. And these were some wicked, wicked men. And it fell right into some other stuff. And we're going to get into that a little later. Now, let's go back. So then you had day one with Nero. And then you had Domitian. Domitian was, oh man, he was brutal. He really, Nero was simply trying to get the people off his back. No, not with Domitian. Domitian actually enjoyed killing. He's one of the rare, um, he's one of the rare emperors who actually participated in the games. Yes, this man participated in the gladiator fights. He was really good. His reign saw an increased persecution, including it was him, this man right here, Domitian, who sent John to the Isle of Patmos. Say, why didn't he kill him? I have no idea. The Lord wasn't ready for John to die. While some sources indicate his persecution of Christians across various provinces of the empire, the church at Smyrna was specifically impacted with the Apostle John being exiled to Patmos during this period. He really attacked Smyrna. Listen, Smyrna was a huge outpost for the Roman Empire. And at this time, all this stuff was happening in Turkey, friends. So all these churches, they were all in Turkey. And at this time, these emperor was being worshipped over here in Smyrna. So when you look at where Smyrna was located, look at this right here. So here's Smyrna right up here. This is Ephesus down here. And the way that the church were, and you can't see it, but this is Sardis right here. And then Laodicea is down here somewhere. If I go, let me see, maybe I have another map. Let me to show them all. Yes. Okay. So here you go. Look at Ephesus right here. This is Ephesus. This is Smyrna right here. Now you see how it's a port city? So all these port cities were extremely important to the Roman Empire. They put out their armies, their navies was all in these great port cities. And what was happening is you had all this right here with this idol worship in Ephesus. You had a large navy posted here in Smyrna. And then in Pergamum, it also became a large navy outpost for the Roman Empire. And we'll talk about Pergamus and the things that happened there soon. All right. So that's what was going on. And that's why Smyrna was important. And because they had so many soldiers and the emperors that would come and visit, man, the persecution in Smyrna was bad. Really, really bad. And a lot of the church members in Smyrna died, lost their lives. And they lost it in the arenas and being fed to lions. Nero was so bad. You know what that rascal did? He would throw these huge parties for his, I guess you can call them the senators and all that stuff that they had at that time. And he would take Christians and put them up on these poles. Nero, I'm talking about. He would take Christians and he would put them up like they did right here. Like you have the Christians here on these things. But there was a long garden headed to the area where he would gather with all these people. He would put them up on crosses and set them on fire as light to the path that walked to his pavilion. That's how perverted and wicked this man was. And you think he was perverted and wicked? What about the people who still attended his service, his balls and stuff, even though they seen and heard the screams of the people burning on the poles and smelt the burnt flesh? They still went. What a wicked and perverted people we are. Yes, we are. Don't say Nero was this and that. No, man. If that's the way you're thinking, then you don't know yourself. You don't know that you and I are capable of doing much, much worse. The only thing that's stopping us is the restraint of the Most High God.